This is Sports Talk Line. We are live reaction today for the NFL trade deadline. I'm your host, Stephen Banno. We're here with Nate Dowdy, and it's time to jump right in on the trades. Nate, what you got? What's been coming down?
Well, I hear Stephon Gilmore is actually on the hot seat in New England. They're asking a hefty price for him. So it's going to be interesting because this is the reigning defensive player of the year. I mean, you might have to give up 2 first-round picks for a premium cornerback.
Yeah, and the guy can still play. It's just Bill Belichick doesn't see any reason in paying a premium price for a player when they're not in a premium spot in the playoff race.
No, they're 2-5 right now, or is it 2-6? I don't know if I forgot if they've already had a bye already, but they might as well have been sleeping through this season. So what's got to give?
Well, yeah, I personally think that Belichick's probably having the most fun that he has had in years because he's all about the challenge. And man, he's got the challenge right now, but he knew it was going to be this way. What about Minnesota? Now, I hear that they're trying to move Kyle Rudolph. What can they get for him?
At the moment right now, they're probably going to get a mid-round pick for him. And it depends on a team that is going to be needy for a playmaker. So you got to look at teams like, I don't know, maybe Chicago could use another playmaker, but they're not going to trade interdivision most likely. So
yeah, you try not to do that, man. That's like the last resort thing. It's in the division. No, you don't do that. And now, what about Mike Davis, running back? All right, now he filled in for McCaffrey really, really well, and I think that should give them impetus to try to get something for him. And I'm thinking right off the bat, like maybe the Cardinals.
Yeah, maybe the Cardinals. They've been impressive this season as to what they were. Now they're going to try to make a push to get to that top spot in the division. They beat the Seahawks a couple weeks ago, so they're chopping that the bit to get some more firepower in that offense.
Well, the problem is Kyler Murray is the best runner by far. He's actually the first and second best runner.
Yeah, unfortunately, I played against Kenyon Drake in a fantasy league when they played the Cowboys, and he blew up, of course, and so he took a dump on my forehead.
Tip here on the NFL draft trade deadline show. That's hard to say 3 times real fast. Anybody playing the Cowboys offensively, start them. I don't care if they're third string, start them. I mean,
yeah, no. If you got them, start them.
Cowboys are giving it up. There's a lot going on right now insofar as interest, but not a whole lot of movement. But there was movement earlier. Let's talk briefly about some of the trades that have already gone down. And what's not going down? You and I talked about the one position that you're probably not going to see a trade for is offensive lineman, right?
Yeah, nothing worth not unless they're a developmental prospect and they're going to sneak them into the practice squad or something like that. I mean, this is really, unless you're willing to give up a premium pick for it. And usually if you look at the situation like with Laramie Tunsil a few years back with Miami, they didn't want to pay him. So the Texans ended up giving up not 1, but 2 first-round picks for Laramie Tunsil. And so far, it's been one of the things Bill O'Brien did right before he was rightly fired.
Rightly fired. He did so many things wrong. It doesn't matter if he did one thing right. It was an accident. Oops. He promises never to do it again. All right. Speaking of the Texans, there was a trade recently here yesterday. That's pretty recent, where basically the Texans traded Eli Anoku to the Cowboys, defensive tackle. And that was right before yesterday. This guy's been around a while. I like these kind of trades, these lower level trades. The guy's still got, a year left on his contract. So the Cowboys are not giving up much, and they're dealing with a position of great need right now because they are raped in the middle this year, huh?
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're going bargain shopping again. The name that you consistently hear with the Dallas Cowboys is Quinnen Williamson, the tackle from the New York Jets, who's only in his second year at the moment right now. A premium pick in the draft, top 5 pick. I'm hearing a lot of being circulated around that he might go for a second round pick. So if you could get that kind of value for a premium pick player, I think you got to jump at it.
I would love that, but I think, again, Cowboys fans will be disappointed because in their front office, Jerry Jones's front office, defensive tackle is not a premium position. They consistently refuse to pay money at that position, believing that they can just get UDFAs and keep plugging them in. And everybody that plays the Cowboys that has a power running game certainly appreciates that approach. All right, another trade that went down, and this one I found way interesting. Desmond King, Chargers, Titans. This isn't like a guy that can't play. This is a guy that can play, but the Chargers were just so stinking deep at defensive back and have been for a while.
Yeah, well, imagine being Desmond King. You wake up at the bottom of the AFC West, and now you're waking up on the top of the AFC South.
I bet you could hardly wait to get on the airplane, man.
Yeah, and it was a position of I mean, he was running like OJ in those Hertz commercials. So it looks like he is a perfect fit for what Tennessee wants to do. I mean, they needed help in the secondary, and he helps them on special teams, particularly as a returner.
Right. Well, now also the Dallas Cowboys have 2 players up for trade. And of course, if they can't trade them, they're going to cut them. And that is Dontari Poe and, of course, the Worley. Excuse me, they already did waive them, didn't they?
Yeah, they already did waive them. And it's the kind of thing where it was.
And by the way, neither one of them is signed yet.
Yeah. And
so they were not picked up off waivers. Right. So nobody wanted anything to do with some very team-friendly deal. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. And that, I think, speaks volumes about those signings and that availability. And that actually, I think, is reflective for everybody listening to what a lot of these trade rumors are. It's organizations trying to hype players that have stepped off the cliff for whatever reason. They're not playing up to their contract, or they just plain suck, and they're trying to get something for them. The Cowboys, I got to give them a little bit of credit that they didn't really try to hide behind it. They just said, look, if we can get something for you, and by saying that, putting a feelers out to the league, like if anybody wants these guys, they're available for nothing.
Yeah, right.
So a conditional 7th round for 2 years from now, we'll take. Okay.
Yeah, on top of that, I mean, look at what the bargain, I can't even call that a bargain, but what they got for Everson Griffin. There was a guy who had a lot of success in the league, started to play well in the last few weeks, and they got a 6th round pick for him.
Yeah, but again, that was a mismatch of schemes as well. I think I think he's got a little left in the tank, but not in the scheme that they were asking him to play in. He's never played in that type of scheme. He's always played in a go get him scheme. And so now they were asking him to think, and he's going like, Mongo no think, Mongo go get QB.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working. It was not working, man. And I don't blame the guy. It's good for the Cowboys that he's gone. It's good for him that he's gone from there. That was a bad mix all the way around. All right. What other type trade info do you have on going here? What about, I've been hearing Dwayne Haskins. All right. An NFC East QB. And I use that term loosely because I said NFC East. But landing spots. Okay. The Bears, maybe the Bills, because they can stick him back there and say, look, you're a QB2, but you fit the kind of mold that we have. We can plug you in, and we're not going to have to change the plays that we have designed for Josh Allen. You should be able to run those plays if you can actually learn them, if you take time to learn them.
Right.
If you actually come and show up in the film room. And maybe the Steelers, because they have the locker room that can take somebody like him and do something with it. But then also with that, the locker room, I'm thinking maybe Patriots.
I'm thinking Indy. I mean, someone like Indy, because you're looking to the future right now, because you got Phillip Rivers, who's only.
You were looking at my sleeper notes, man. I was holding that one back.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. That was the only one I had. So I mean.
Oh, well, it's a good one. Yeah. And anyhow, you were saying Indy's a good landing spot because.
Well, Frank Reich has just been a quarterback whisperer. You look at Carson Wentz's development over the years, and what's he done after he left? Nothing. I mean, this is a guy who gave up 4 turnovers to the Dallas Cowboys.
Look up Phillip Rivers' stats from last season and look at Phillip Rivers' stats from this season and a new offense.
Yeah, and an offensive line to boot. So, I mean, you could take someone like a Dwayne Haskins if he came into Indy.
And Phillip Rivers isn't going to last 5 more years. Okay, it's not happening.
No.
Well, I say that, and damn it, he might actually prove me wrong. Oops, sorry about that. I'll start saying bleep instead. And,
well,
because this is a kid-friendly show.
Well, kid-friendly for all of his kids that are involved. I mean, that's a lot of college tuition you have to pay. So I wouldn't surprise me.
I was thinking more like Kid Rock, actually, but all right. So, all right, what trades do you hear are hanging out there? What information do you got?
What information do I have?
Yes.
I don't know. You see a lot of teams, for instance, like the Vikings, they traded a 3rd-round pick. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's last name, but Yannick Ngakoue. They traded him to Baltimore for a 3rd-round pick. And so they basically said, okay, this didn't work out. We're going to get rid of him right away, even though they gave up.
How would you grade that trade?
They got equal pay back, so I'd give it a C.
At least. Yeah. You didn't fail. You didn't hit a home run. I like that. All right. Going back to the trade we were talking about earlier, the Chargers to Desmond King to Tennessee, that was for a 6th-round pick. How would you grade that trade on the Titans side and on the Chargers side?
Oh, that's an A+ if you're Tennessee, all the way. I mean, you're getting a player that can help.
Yeah, an A+. I agree with that. Boom. If you're a vampire, you're not liking this grade, but
yeah.
other than that, it's good. And for the Chargers, I'm thinking a C, maybe a D, because they did give up good capital to get him, and they just couldn't work him in. So I don't know, a C. What do you think?
Yeah, if you remember correctly, he was a 5th-round pick, so he wasn't a premium pick to begin with. He was a guy who I valued much higher in the draft, and he.
Oh, I did too. I did. Not a 1st-round pick. Don't get me wrong, but higher than when he went.
Yeah.
I like where you're coming on that. All right, now the 49ers, they traded linebacker Kwon Alexander to the Saints, and they got linebacker back Kiko Alonso and a conditional 5th-round pick. I don't know if it's conditioning on my swinging cod or what, but it's conditional. And usually that's on the guy being on the roster. How would you grade each side of this pick? And I'll tell you right up front, I look at this pick as almost an even Steven deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Kiko Alonso has been traded 4 times already since his career began. If you remember,
keeps his bags back. Okay.
What's that?
Keeps his bags back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been traded 4 times, and he's practically been in the league maybe 6 years.
Shows up to the city, tells the realtor, no, rental. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. And he has, and when you throw in Kiko, who's a solid guy, and the conditional 5th-round pick, the 49ers moved Kwon Alexander, who definitely, I think, has more talent. And the contract situation, I think, New Orleans does well with linebackers. So I think that's a good move for the 49ers. I think it's a good move for New Orleans. I don't really care which grade you want to give it. I think you give the same grade to each side. I'm thinking like about a B+. What about you?
Yeah, the New Orleans loads up on their front 7, and with the availability and the play of Fred Warner for the 49ers, Kwon Alexander became kind of a luxury player. So at the same time, you swap that and get a conditional pick. I think it's a win for both sides. Yeah,
and the Saints have got to go now, man. I mean, Drew Brees, how many years does he have left? Maybe this is it. Maybe it's not. I mean, he's at that age now whenever he has not a bad game, a bad pass, everybody's like, oh, he's falling off the cliff. I know. That's what I do when I look at it.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like immediately there. Oh, that's it. It's over. Cut him if you got him on fantasy. But he's definitely not the QB he was, and people get hung up on that because Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl not being the QB that he was.
Absolutely, and then they spent hefty in free agency that season, so they loaded up that defense and they got him enough. And if you've been watching New Orleans this season at all, it's been their defense has been the calling card of that team. Yeah,
because dare we say it, Breeze hasn't been looking that good.
Yeah, and another player, speaking of New Orleans, that has been rumored to be traded was Michael Thomas, the wide receiver. And you'd think, why in God's name would they trade Michael Thomas? Apparently he's been a problem in the locker room, or it's been kept under wrap, but there's some sort of disconnect between him and Sean Payton. So when you're looking at Michael Thomas, you're probably going to have to pay a premium price for him, even if he does go. It's just been a rumor, but I think there's more to it, because why would they even rumor it?
There's something going on right there. There's some discontent. I don't know. Have you looked at Michael Thomas and Breeze haven't been the thing that they've been in years past. And Sean Payton, he won't put up with a locker room issue. All right. Steelers acquire linebacker Avery Williamson, from the Jets.
Yeah.
And actually, that's the way that the headline is written, in exchange for a 5th round pick. But in Avery Williamson's social media post, it went, "I escaped." So, I mean,
yeah, escape from New York.
Yeah, escape from New York. Ooh, there's the headline. Okay. So,
Gilmore to Packers. Wow. Okay.
I love that. I love it because the Packers need D, and they have a problem. And if they could take Gilmore and say, look, we don't really care about you learning our defense. All right. Screw that. There's the guy I want you to cover.
I think it would be great.
Glue on him. That's all they have to do. And that makes that defense better immediately. Let him follow the best guy around the field and say, look, I'm going to take your best guy out and let the rest of the defense play defense. You can't do it with a safety because you need those safeties. But, with a lockdown corner, and he is a lockdown corner, I think that's a good move. It all depends on what you give up. And, of course, if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm hoping a lot.
Yeah, and also it would be interesting to pair him up with Zaire Alexander. I mean, I think that would be a nasty 1-2 combo. But at the same time, what did you see last week when you were playing your own division rival, a one-win team previously? Run defense. So I think that's the Achilles heel of this Packer team at the moment right now. So if I'm going shopping to make a trade to make this team boom, I'm looking at a linebacker. I'm looking at defensive tackle. That's what I have to do to try to make this Packer team take the next step this season.
Okay. I mean, yeah, but why not get both? If you get a chance if you're a team that is competing for a Super Bowl, and I think that the Packers are in the same boat that Breeze and the Saints are in, but their boat is like sitting in a much better position in the channel. I mean, the Saints and Breeze are much more near the end of the journey, but Aaron Rodgers isn't that far behind. Right now, he's in his prime. Surround him with talent. And that means on both sides of the ball. Right now, they need defense. If you can get a premium guy, if you look out on the trade window and say, look, who's available that's a premium guy that we can bring in and have not just for this year, but for next year too. All right.
I'm talking about now because we talked about the Cowboys earlier being associated to Quinn Williamson. How about the Packers?
I say go for both, man. Sell your soul, sell your future. Let Aaron Rodgers know, you know what? Our future is with you, and it is now. Go ahead and give out some second-round picks, 2 or 3 down the road. Next year's first, if you have to wrangle Gilmore perhaps. But if you can go ahead and get those two guys for your defense on the Packers, Oh my goodness. Now, I don't know how you're going to pay him, but I think Williamson's going to be okay for next year, right?
Yeah, he's only in his second season so far. So if
So 2 more years out of Williamson. Now, he may hold out something like that. Okay, fine. But that's okay. You can deal with that when the time comes. Don't worry about that if you're the GM. Go ahead and get these guys over there. Send a message to Aaron Rodgers. You are our guy. We're not worried about that other guy down the road. We're backing you right now. And that's smart because, Aaron Rodgers is not there to win a popularity contest. He's there to be the best guy on the football field. And on most days, he is.
Absolutely. But I'm not going to shed any tears if they just stand pat. I think it's going to be interesting because schematically they play Thursday against San Francisco, and schematically they've absolutely dominated them with their scheme running the football in those wide zone schemes that Minnesota runs very similarly to San Francisco and absolutely torched them. Now San Francisco's playing with a backup quarterback since Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy InSync, whatever you want to call him, is going to be out several weeks. So we're going to find out real quick if this is an aberration or if it's a problem with this team.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I was waiting for that. I was like,
I'm sorry. I was actually just looking at Rolls Royce Baby 91 over here. And, and actually that's a statement in itself. I mean, Rolls Royce Baby 91. I like that. You can look at that several different ways. Another question that come up here is Julio to Green Bay for a first and a fifth.
See, I think Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy, if you're really trying to move the team to take that next step, I don't think you necessarily, if you're playing Madden, okay, cool. You pair him up with Julio Jones, it wouldn't be a bad signing. But I think if you're trying to get the most out of that first round pick, you go a different direction. I think you use that with a premium defensive tackle. You use that for a premium.
I agree. I would want a guy that had more speed than credentials. And nothing against Julio Jones. I mean, Hall of Fame, boom, no question. That's not what I'm saying here. But yeah, I think you could get more value for Aaron Rodgers than doing that. On the flip, Gilmore, this guy is recommending the Raiders go for Gilmore and send a second, a sixth, and Isaiah Johnson. I like this trade. I just don't think Belichick could go for it.
Yeah, I think some team is going to offer a first and a second or 2 first rounders for Gilmore. And you got to find out who the bunny is. Now, Vegas needs all the defensive help they can need. I mean, the reason why they're kind of overshadowed this season by Dallas is because Dallas has been historically bad defensively, but the Raiders are not far behind.
Historically bad. Okay. I was going to say what? Oh yeah, the last 25 years. Okay, never mind. Moving on. Okay. And here in our chat and then also here on Twitter, a bunch of people are just, going off, and it's, and so is my phone. And it's, Will Fuller to the Packers. It makes sense for both sides. I mean, it makes sense for the Texans. It makes sense for the Packers for sure. And I think Fuller is that level of receiver that fits in well with the Packers as far as value. He's not a guy that, is a Julio Jones. He's Fuller. He's going to be around for a few more years. And speed, he's a speed merchant. He's a guy that Aaron Rodgers can really make better. You're not really going to make Julio Jones better.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Will Fuller, you can get a great rate for him because his issue has always been staying healthy.
Third round pick is what I'm thinking for him. You get a third round pick, I think it's a great trade for both sides. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. If you gave a third round pick for Will Fuller, third or fourth round pick for Will Fuller, I mean, this is a guy with elite speed. He could blow the doors off any defensive back in the league. He's really starting to come into his own this season. He's just in a bad situation in Houston right now, and his issue has always been staying healthy. Now, if you're looking to improve I think he could be absolutely dynamite for the Packers. It's just his issue. He needs to stay healthy.
All right, well, look, you're talking about Gilmore flipping around, and he's a shutdown corner, agreed?
Yeah, absolutely.
A shutdown corner on dare we say it? A bad team. And hey, when I say bad team, that's a compliment to Bill Belichick. You go that many years, you're eventually going to have a bad team. The league is set up to make it that way. It's called the salary cap. And this guy's been dancing around it forever. And they don't really have a bad team. They're just missing some depth. Gilmore, Ramsey got 2 first-round picks for him. Now, admittedly, he's younger than Gilmore, but is the level that different? I'm thinking at least a first-round pick for Gilmore, or Belichick's not going to talk to you.
Oh, yeah, at the very least, I think it's going to be first and change. I mean, you're
first and change. I agree.
So you're looking for at least a day 2 pick with the first rounder. So you're at least talking a second or a third rounder with the first rounder. And I believe Gilmore's better than Ramsey. And you don't have the attitude.
Okay, I'm sorry. 2 things briefly. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe down below. Hit that little notify button. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Without you guys. And then if you've not done so yet, get up off your ass. Go out and vote. All right. Moving on. All right. Let's get that taken care of. Trades. I'm checking Twitter here. Twitter's all sorts of potential, but nothing really going on. Here's another trade I want to talk about. The Seahawks. They got the Bengals defensive end, Carlos Dunlap. Remember when that was a name? All right. Yeah. And they had to send cornerback Jay Finley and a 7th round pick. I look at this as another even Steven trade. I mean, it works out for both sides. The talent level in there, okay, I'm liking it all the way around. And the Seahawks, they want defensive line help badly.
Yeah, they need a pass rusher in the worst way possible. And speaking of which, a name that's been thrown out there to go back to the Dallas Cowboys, a name that's been out there is Alton Smith. Now, Dallas has...
No. I'm stealing your line. No.
Yeah, I mean, that's a name that's been thrown out there. And I know Dallas is potentially interested in re-signing him. That was a name that was associated potentially with the Seahawks. Now, that's a team that needs pass rush to go to that next level to be able to contend for a Super Bowl.
But Jerry Jones has already come out and stated that, no, Alton Smith is hands off, not talking about it. And he went on to say that, yeah, we're still looking at this season. And also I look at Alton Smith for next season, and something about those girls were over 16, I swear. And he wrapped all that up in one interview, like he tends to do. So and of course he could trade him tomorrow.
Sticker on, so it must be 18.
He could trade him tomorrow. How would you rate this trade, Dunlap and CJ Finney in the 7th for both teams? I rate it as like a C+ for both sides.
Yeah, I mean that's generally, I think. They're trying to get Ken Norton Jr. is trying to get as much out of Carlos Dunlap as possible. I mean, the guy can still play.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Going back to Dwayne Haskins. Actually, I flipped over here and looked, and a question caught me from Trey Rax here in the comments. What if the Bengals got Gilmore? And your immediate reaction is Bengals, yeah. And then wait a minute. No, they actually have a quarterback. They actually have actually that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I don't like it for the Bengals because if you've watched them play at all this season, they need offensive line help, and they need it in the worst way possible.
They can't afford to give up the draft capital it would take to get Gilmore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a kind of situation that you pay the premium price to put you over the edge to contend. The Bengals aren't there yet, in my opinion.
No, that's a darn good point. Would Gilmore improve their team this year? Absolutely, 100%. That's not the question. The question is, would he help next year and down the road? And no, not when you weigh what you would have got for the draft capital that I feel certain Belichick would demand, especially going to an AFC team. He'll throw that in. Come on, that's worth an extra round or two right there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only time I've seen Belichick get poor value was during the Jimmy Garoppolo trade, because if you remember, before he got traded, they were demanding at least a first round pick, and the Niners were able to steal him away for a second round pick because it was a trade deadline. They held all the.
It was a trade deadline. Also, it was an agreement between Garoppolo and Belichick. Where like, hey man, I'm sticking here. I'm just going to do my thing, but you're going to treat me right when the time comes, and get me to a good team. And that's what he did. That's another reason players love playing for Belichick. Now, do certain players get tired of it after a while because he's a disciplinarian? He makes you show up on time, makes you show up at meetings. You've got to put in your work or you're gone. Of course they do. There's human beings. There's guys that are so good they haven't really had to work that hard their whole life, and then when they go there, they go like, damn. And then they get the ring and they leave and go like, oh, screw this. And like, oh, okay, fine. All right.
Yeah, they want to have fun.
Six more guys in line. As soon as Belichick, sorry, go ahead. Yes.
I think anything's possible with the Raiders, particularly you have Mike Mayock, who's their general manager, and he's a former defensive back. And you take a look at John Gruden. If John Gruden takes a look at who he's playing against every week, you're talking about, you saw the comeback against the Chargers with the Broncos. You saw their explosions with Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. We know all the weapons KC has, and we see developing quarterback in Justin Herbert. So you're playing against all these receivers every week. I think they want to get good in the secondary. I would not be surprised if Vegas is a fit.
Yeah, and I like it. I don't know if they have the draft capital left, but it's a great fit. Gilmore's style fits what they do there. He would slide right in. I love this as a landing spot for him. And we had a couple more questions over here in chat. One was like, the Bengals should trade AJ Green. The Bengals would trade AJ Green. That's not a problem. You're not going to get that much for him anymore. He has real problems staying healthy, and he's a one-dimensional player.
Yeah, he's become a one-dimensional player.
At this point in his career, he's a one-dimensional player. So you're not going to get that. I mean, he's worth a lot more for selling tickets right there. And he is, he's still a target. I mean, don't get me wrong. So, I mean, he's more valuable where he is than elsewhere, I believe. But the other thing was Texans won a second-round pick for Fuller. That was the one. And yeah, that's why I said third-round pick earlier. A third-round pick makes sense for both sides. Get it done, Texas. Get it done.
Yeah, I like how now they're being all hardball with trading for receivers when they gave away for pennies on the dollars DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, we'll give away the best receiver in the NFL for almost nothing. But this guy over here that can't stay healthy, hey.
Yeah, now we're staying pat right now.
Not only that, I want some big.
Yeah, that's another team who's really spent a lot during the trade deadline. They made big time trades. They gave up 2 first-round picks for Laramie Tunsil. They gave up a second-round pick for, they traded away for a second-round pick for David Johnson. They gave away, and also DeAndre Hopkins as well. So, and also that current general manager is out. So it's going to be interesting to see the different changes in philosophy that Houston's going over right now.
We got another interesting question here. What type of which receivers should the Baltimore Ravens target? And looking at the Baltimore Ravens, they have two types of receivers. They got receivers with so much speed, they'll just blind you, which makes sense because Jackson's arm and then the play action, which makes that type of receiver especially valuable. But then the other thing that they need, if Des Bryant was still available, I'd say just go sign him. They need any wide receiver that can block.
They actually have Des Bryant currently on their practice squad.
That's right. I was thinking Saints. No. Yeah, the Ravens did sign him, which makes sense. I mean, that's the type of receiver that they want, is a guy that can make a play for them occasionally, can do a run after the catch. Now, would it be nice to have a specimen like the Seattle Seahawks have at wide receiver and Metcalf? Yeah, of course it would. But I mean, there's only one of those in a generation, if that. No, but a guy like Des Bryant, anybody like that is a bigger guy, 6'2", 6'3", something like that has decent speed and can block and can occasionally catch it, can run more than one route. That's what they want. And I think they got the guy that they want right there in Des Bryant. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. AJ Green to the Pats. I
would have loved it if Brady was there.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see, they need guys who can create separation for the Patriots right now. And I don't really see AJ Green as that type of player anymore.
But not only that, they're not trying to win now. And AJ Green's only going to a team that you're trying to win now. That's not the Patriots. The Patriots are in rebuilding mode. They're trying to figure out exactly what he's putting together. Now, it's a Belichick team, so it doesn't have to be a specific type of player. He just needs talent. But until he finds his QB, he doesn't know what his offense is going to be. So I don't think he's going to be looking for those types of additions. If anything, he's going to be looking to send things away as opposed to adding something, especially something at a premium, which AJ Green should be a premium. Okay.
And to jump back to Baltimore, I actually think Will Fuller would be a great fit there, just because of the speed dynamic that they like to do. Because the Ravens are really built on the fact that they're going to run the ball, they're going to make you stack the box, and then they're going to play fake and burn you down the field.
Cowboys should trade for someone. I love this comment. Yeah, but Jesus isn't available. Okay, so that's the only guy that would help them. The Cowboys are not one player away. They should not trade for anyone. They're not two players away. They're a handful of players away. Their offensive line is decimated. Their offensive center, who should have had another 5 to 7 years on his career, at a premium. He's gone. He retired. Their left tackle, it looks like, who's an all-pro, and that they've relied on him as an anchor. His career is probably over. It's effectively over, even if he doesn't retire. Would you agree with that, Nate?
Yeah, I really think so, because he was kind of being holding on by a thread the last few years anyway. And now that he's actually had neck surgery, it's not going to be the kind of thing where all of a sudden he has surgery and it's fixed and it's never going to be an issue again.
No. This is surgery so you can get out of bed in the morning. And that comes in sections when you're that tall. So, no, they don't need to trade for anyone. I would see them trading away some players, but they already tried that, man.
Yeah.
They got one. Unless they could find, now trading for a player that would be an interesting nugget for down the road, like a promising offensive lineman, a young promising DB, something like that still had some a rookie contract on him. Sure, if they found a deal like that, yeah, that would be good. But that would be it, I would think.
Yeah, and you have to give up quite a bit to get that. So it's if you're in less. And let's put it this way, he's not a great negotiator, Jerry Jones, as he claims to be. I mean, you got a 6th-round pick for trading away Everson Griffin. It's the same pick that the Tennessee Titans gave away for Desmond King.
Yeah, he's a great negotiator when he's one-on-one with someone that's not used to negotiating. But the rest of the league knows his stick, so it doesn't really work. Now we got a thing here about Texans should trade multiple players and it's a salary cap move is what he's talking about. I see the value in that. The problem here is coach GM. That hasn't been settled. And it's hard to make those decisions for an organization like you're talking about until those things are settled. Interim guys generally don't have that much leeway unless they, they go to the owner and say, look, we might as well cut these, work this salary cap thing out. It's really bad. And the Texans salary cap is bad, thanks to you-know-who. And we love you, O'Brien. Nothing but love, bro. Nothing but love. Okay. What he did to Deshaun Watson's early rookie contract period is criminal. It would be the smart thing to do for them to shed contract and try to do some cap management at this point. I don't know if the interim guys have that much swag, that much leeway, but it would definitely be smart. And if you can get draft capital at the same time that you're shedding salary cap, even though you're going to take, a ping the next year sometimes, it's still smart football. But right now they're sitting there holding out for a second, which is, that's smart. Hold out for what you can get. But at the end of the day, don't hold it up. Let it go for a third.
Yeah, well, speaking of someone who's desperate to make a trade, the Atlanta Falcons are in real cap trouble, and particularly next season when the cap is going massively down. They need to make a move. And you take a look at Julio Jones. What about if Julio Jones ended up going to Philadelphia? That's an interesting prospect. So a team that could make a move, help out their quarterback who's been struggling this season with turnovers, and a team that basically wants to take the next step. They've been decimated by injuries on the offensive line and at their skill position players. They can make a move.
And, just to put that in perspective, the teams that are upside down on next year's cap, and by upside down, I don't mean a little bit in the red, I mean a lot in the red, are going to be the Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Steelers, Rams, Chiefs, Texans, Raiders, Vikings. The Vikings and Raiders are not that bad, but once you hit the Texans, it starts getting in $7 million in the red that they've got to shed somehow. And that means before signing anybody, they've got to cut space. They're not bringing anybody on. But then you get to like the Chiefs, 13 million, Rams, 19 million, Falcons, 25 million, Eagles, 65 million, Saints, 92 million. Oh man. And that's with the base salary cap of 176 million. In 2021 projected. That's down from the 198 million that it is this season.
Ouch. Yeah, so some teams are really going to be fucked. And
and of course the Jets have plenty of cap space.
Yeah, right. Oh, yes, remember they were the winners of the offseason 2 years ago. Remember
when you trade away all your talent, you generally have a lot of cap space. Jets, Jaguars, you got a lot of cap space. Surprisingly, teams that are going to have cap space that are in a great position, and I think a buying position, are the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts.
They're going to have lots to play with. The Patriots, lots to play with. Washington, lots to play with. The Bengals, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys have lots of space, but not if you're going to pay Dak Prescott. You're not, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And
then you're down there with the Saints. Okay.
That remains to be seen, because it wouldn't shock me if Dallas somehow bungled the negotiation once again and signed him to a second year as a franchise quarterback, which makes his asking price go up even further the year after.
Correct.
So, I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen some of these teams be a little more active. The teams that are in cap trouble be a little more active during this trade deadline.
Well, it's early, not till 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we've still got a couple hours. But yeah, generally, if a trade's going to get made, it's going to get made now. The ones that are getting weighed right at the end, those can blow up in your face sometimes. Remember the ones where that the facts didn't get made at the last minute, and the league just said, forget it.
Yeah, kind league.
So, just a couple more hours to go for it. We're not seeing any current movement right now. We've covered the basic looking for trades. The team, out of all the teams that I'm looking at right here, the team that I think has the most reason to make a trade right now, and also it's going to be difficult for them because of their cap space, is the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I really think they need to make a move. They're one of those teams that were in the championship game a year before. And so far they haven't. Earlier in the season, they said, oh yeah, look at us. They were the darlings of the league. They were on a lot of people's number one list for power rankings. And they've really been exposed to the run defense. So until that gets fixed, I don't think they're going to be any better. I think they're going to take a step back.
And I tell you what, another team that going to have the cap space could do whatever they wanted for right now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, they have a very young defense, particularly in the secondary and at linebacker. Very
Gilmore, well. Williams. What about them picking up these guys?
Yeah, now I know like you're building on a strength then. But
yes.
Look at the Patriots. I mean, I'm sorry, not the Patriots. I just assume because Tom Brady is there. But what's going to get them over the top? What's going to solidify the AFC South for them? What's going to make them a premium contender?
Well, again, just like with, when you can get the 3 pass rushers, that's really awesome for a defense. But also, when you can go 5 deep with quality defensive backs, that's incredible. And when you can have 2 shutdown corners, does that free you up to blitz? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it does. So, again, I think Gilmore is a better fit than Williams, but stopping the run is job one. I realize it's a passing league, but if you ain't stopping the run, you're toast. That's still the number one job of any defense. And they could use a little help in that department.
Yeah, no kidding. Listen, this defense is incredibly fast, and I think if they built on a strength, like adding a Stephon Gilmore, it could take that team to another level.
Now, trade Chubb. That's the comment.
Trade Chubb?
Yeah. Right, like which Chubb? That's the question.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Denver's Chubb or
talking Browns, or you talking Broncos? Okay. For the Browns, I don't really think it matters what they do.
Yeah, unfortunately, they have a quarterback issue. You could put lipstick on a pig all you want, but until
they have a front office, head coach, quarterback issue.
Yeah, I will even give them the benefit of the doubt as far as the head coach. He's brought them more wins this season than they have in some time, and given them a little bit.
I'll go with that.
But with that being said, who's going to trade for an injured running back? And
Dallas Cowboys like to do stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Get value.
Yeah, and there are teams that need a running back, and there are teams that need a running game. We talked about it earlier, where Mike Davis might be a good fit, but not that one, not that way, not. It's a bad deal all the way around. No official trades. Twitter is amazingly quiet. You'd almost think there was something else going on today. I don't know what.
Yeah, who knows? It's just a Tuesday.
And this is a good time to remind you of those 2 items. Down below, hit that subscribe, slap that notify bell like your mammy used to slap you when you was late to the dinner table. That's right. And then also, if you haven't done it yet, get up off your butt and get out and vote. Get that done, man. Get that done. That is not a privilege. That is your job. You take out the trash, you mow the lawn, you vote. Not necessarily in that order. All right. I finished my rant for now.
Yeah, time's up, pal.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Something about the New Jersey Generals referencing here on Twitter. All right, let's wrap this up here right now, man. We've only got a little more time to go here. It's going to be top of the hour. Packers. Come on. Bill Fuller. It's got to happen. Julio Jones. I'm sitting here looking on Twitter. I see his name twittering. It's being talked. I know they would love to get almost anything for him.
Yeah, they need to dump that contract. I mean, this is a guy who's
also they need to dump that aspect of their offense.
What do you mean?
He's not the player that he was. It would be better to have a more multi-dimensional player in there to fit, with what's going on. So,
yeah, I think he could be. The problem is with Julio, he's basically going to be in a market for a team that needs to take the next step. It's not going to be for someone like, Cincinnati, for instance. They're not going to go make that trade.
And earlier, as I said, I didn't think Green Bay was a great fit for him, but he would improve that team.
Oh, absolutely. He would improve that. Stick him opposite side of Devontae Adams. I mean, you'll eat for sure. Problem is, there's still a bigger issue, and I don't know if that's going to take you to the next step, because the next step for this Packers team is the Super Bowl. Based on what they were doing last season, because they were in the championship game, and you got to ask yourself, how do you beat the premium teams in the NFC, if there is any?
Well, at least you didn't say NFC East. Okay,
yeah.
That's good. So you're all right there. With the trade deadline, this is it. Okay, this is your last chance to improve your team. So teams that are selling, okay, fine, you're selling. But let's talk about teams that need to improve. Seattle Seahawks, you should be buyers right now.
Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks they were inches away from winning the division, the AFC West last year. They just beat the current NFC West. I'm sorry, they were inches away from winning the NFC West the year before. They were close to winning last year. They almost beat Green Bay in Green Bay.
Right.
So what do you need to do to beat those teams? Obviously, the Niners are very banged up right now. They could be very well out of contention. How do you beat Tampa Bay? How do you beat New Orleans? How do you beat the Packers?
And here's another thought process as we creep closer and closer to the waning hour. Right? If a team wanted to make a trade, really want to say, okay, boom, let's take this guy and move it. Like the Cowboys, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
So what the teams that haven't pulled the trigger yet, and I'm talking about teams that are selling, they're waiting for a really good offer. If they don't get a really good offer, they're probably not going to pull the trigger.
Yeah, but you take a look at a team like Atlanta, they're desperate. They got to do something.
Well, and now that's the flip. You have teams that are going to wait to the final moment saying, please send me a better offer. Please send me a better offer. And, there is the flip side of that, of course. So we may see something. And if we do see something late, I think it may very well involve the Packers. It may very well involve Atlanta. And also, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are desperately trying to do some trades. I think they're trying to move some of their defensive tackles because they got a lot of salary tied up in that. And why not? I mean, they can be sellers. They're not trying to make the Super Bowl. Pardon? Seahawks should look. Oh yeah, they've already tried. Seahawks have inquired directly about Alton Smith, and the Cowboys said no, thank you. They didn't say don't call me back. They just said, nah, we're not trading him. But if they called up and said, we got 2 first-round picks, I'm sure that Dallas would listen. But no, they were wanting to, work a deal, something reasonable. And Cowboys were saying, nah, man, Jerry Jones is all about the sizzle. So Alton Smith is his steal recently. So he's not going to let him walk away from the team right now.
Yeah, he leads the team in sacks based off of the first few weeks of the season. So
But now I ask you this. I ask you this. Let's say that the Cowboys did not have Alton Smith this season. Would the defense be any worse?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking. So
Yeah,
if you can get something for him, you might want to think about it. Okay.
Yeah. When he goes and falls in love with shopping at the dollar store, he doubles down on that. So
Right.
he got some value from it early in the season. So now they have long-term plans for him. But
because again, Jerry is totally excited about this. He loves it that he got a steal, a value. That's what he's all about. And you can't blame him. I mean, hey, he has a lot of money and he's got expensive toys.
yeah, what kind of toys? Life-size figurines of God knows what, but I'll let you use your imagination for that.
No, please don't. Stop. I can't. No. Oh, too late. You can't get that out. Man. All right. Here's something. The New York Giants, sellers or buyers? I think they should sell, and I think they got some defensive help that they could sell right now. I'm talking on the inside of their line at defensive tackle.
Leonard Williams.
Yeah, and he's been playing well, and I think he could really help. I think the Seahawks would be an excellent landing spot.
Yeah, the Seahawks just need help all over the defensive line, particularly edge rusher. That's what's going to make them a different team. They can score at will.
Yeah, I mean, and they really do miss a certain former first-round pick that refused to sign for pennies on the dollar with them from last season. He played for Texas. He played for the Seahawks. They need that defensive line. That they had to trade Frank Clark. They need defensive line help, and I think this guy would be a great fit for them.
Yeah, if you look at what they decided not to do in the offseason, they decided not to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney, which ended up.
Well, that's what I was talking about. I mean, Clowney, they miss him.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't want to re-sign him because he was asking for premium bucks. No, I'm not coming back to you for pennies on the dollar. And then he went and signed for pennies on the dollar, but it wasn't with the Seahawks.
It wasn't with the Seahawks. And you look at Tennessee, they're regretting that signing. They signed him for about, I think, somewhere between 12 and 15 million, give or take, but 12 or 15 million too much.
Yeah, because he's not worth it. And that's what the Seahawks were aware of, but he's good against the run. He's not a giant pass rushing threat. He's got the skill set when you measure his metrics, but it doesn't translate in the regular game. So, but he does hustle and he's good against the run. He's a solid player. He's not a $12 to $15 million player, and that is an issue.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what Seattle needs, and it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive these contending teams are, or if they're just going to be passive in this situation.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals, they could be buyers, but they really need a lot. They're not one guy away. The Rams have too much salary issues. The 49ers, same issue as the Rams, really. The Eagles, they're in first in the East, but it's a joke. I'm not going to talk about the rest of the East other than sell. Green Bay Packers, be buyers. Chicago Bears, you can't buy shit. Your salary cap's messed up. Detroit Lions, see if you can sell your coach. Minnesota Vikings, you got the running game going, man. Sit with what you got and go and run. That's what I think the Vikings ought to do. Buccaneers, buy. Surround more talent. Saints, same thing as the Buccaneers. Even though you can't afford it, screw it. Next year's next year. Panthers and Falcons, see if you can transfer into the NFC East. You can compete there. All right. Buffalo Bills. Yeah, man, if you could get something that would help you out, that would be a buy. But I don't see a glaring weakness on their team. Do you?
No, I mean, they're the kind of situation that they could probably get if they got a pass rusher. But then again,
everybody can use that.
Exactly.
But not a glaring weakness. They just don't always show up. Miami Dolphins, they've got the room. They could do whatever. But I think they need to just keep doing what they're doing and letting these guys gel. Patriots, I think those guys are sell. New York Jets. Okay.
LOL.
Exactly. Tennessee Titans, buy. If you can right now, buy. Colts, same thing, buy. You got Phillip Rivers right now, see if you can do something with it. Texans, if you can shed salary, do it. Jacksonville Jaguars, I didn't know they were still in the league. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they've already said they're going to dump their remaining talent. So that's essentially it. Who's good on that team?
I hope Minshew didn't buy. Okay. Rent. Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers, sit pat.
Yeah, they already got Williamson in the trade. I mean, so the rich keep getting richer.
They're good. Ravens, sit pat. I don't see one guy that's going to help them because they can't get a guy that's not going to wreck their future if they get him. Would Gilmore help them? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they're going to have to give up premium picks for that.
But Williams, not so much, man. Cleveland Browns, New York Jets.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. Cincinnati Bengals, dude, keep doing what you're doing. If you can trade Green, do it. But, I mean, good luck with that. Kansas City Chiefs, no, sit. Raiders, you need to trade just because you're the Raiders. Denver Broncos, I don't think it matters what you do. Chargers, you are the Chargers. I feel sorry for the fans. The fans are great. You always have, teams with good players, but you have bad teams. So that is the NFL Draft Trade Deadline. If you've not yet, please down below, hit that subscribe button. Hit that notify bell so you know when these live reaction things are coming up, because we come up with some pretty cool stuff. Sometimes we have people on. Sometimes. And also we do the NFC East Weekly, the Dallas Cowboys Weekly with Nate here. We have the New York Giants Weekly. Plus we've got NBA shows on. We've got NFL draft, college, sports. We've got a soccer. We have live shows on everything, and of course our highlights. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, what should you do in life, Nate?
You're gonna listen like you play with intensity.
Maybe a little less caffeine too.
No, never.
Thanks for being here.